This is the most dangerous apple in the world. So dangerous that its name in Spanish is Manzanilla de la Muerte, which translates to Little Apple of Death. This is the manchineel tree, and it's widely considered to be the most toxic tree on the planet. And it's all because of a milky white sap coated in toxins that can cause the skin to blister on impact. And this sap is found on every part of the tree. The leaves, the fruit, the bark, every aspect of this tree has the ability to decrease your quality of life. It's so toxic that if you don't even touch it but stand under the tree while it's raining, all it takes are a couple raindrops with white sap to burn your skin. And speaking of burning, if you torch your tree and try to return ship it to Satan, the smoke can irritate the eyes to the point of temporary blindness. And you can probably imagine what would happen if you inhale it. The fruit might just be the worst part. In 1999, radiologist Nicola Strickland unknowingly ate the apple, and while she didn't retire from breathing, she came really close. The burning sensation and painful tightening of her throat nearly made her suffocate off rip. The pain lasted over 8 hours, and she eventually had to get the lymph nodes in her neck drained. And if you happen to find one in your Florida backyard, yeah, you can find them in Florida. Y'all are hell with no income tax. You can't cut them down because they're endangered. It'd be like suplexing a panda. And since they help prevent beach erosion and protect mangroves, if you got rid of all of them, Florida just might go underwater. The more you know.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 24. There's been multiple cases of people actually being eaten alive by an escalator. If you like to eat cereal, there's a 21 to 38% chance that you're also eating an Acarus mite. Supposedly, if you have Sanpaku eyes, meaning that there's white below your iris, it actually means that you're supposed to die young. Every time you feel very aggressive, your brain is set to kill for a few seconds. So in that 1 second, you could kill a human being. When getting laser eye surgery, you can actually smell the parts of your eyes being shaved down by the lasers. If you're a male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate, forcing you to ejaculate for your sperm. Female dragonflies often fake their own death to prevent rape. If you ever get burned by electricity, it will leave burn marks shaped like lightning on your skin. Many pets actually die because their owner dies unexpectedly and nobody comes in to check in on them in time.
Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you.
The absolute worst ways people have died, part 3. A guy jumped in a boiling geyser to save his dog. When they pulled him out, he had third-degree burns all over his body while he was still alive and conscious. Moments later, he died watching his dog dying the same way. At the Grand Canyon, a woman jumped trying to commit suicide. She survived because she hit a ledge that wasn't quite far enough, and she had to crawl until she could find another edge to finish what she started.
Facts that will definitely make your skin crawl, part 2. There is more of a chance of you finding a dead body underneath your bed than actually finding it in the garbage. If you ever plug your nose during a sneeze, you can actually rupture a blood vessel in your neck or your brain and it'll cause you to bleed to death. The electric chair was actually invented by a dentist. If a black cat looks at you and runs, it usually means something is about to happen to you, usually being pretty bad.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Being buried alive accidentally occurred so often that people invented safety coffins. In the Middle Ages, people used to eat mummies for medical purposes. It's the main reason we don't have a lot of mummies left today. In the United States, there are more vacant homes than homeless people. Did you know that the actress Glenn Close was raised in a cult? The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used to have real skeletons as props. In 1976, a TV crew realized one of the hanging bodies in the Laugh in the Dark ride was indeed a real body by accidentally breaking it. Women in the 18th century used lead as makeup. This is the first chainsaw. It was invented by 2 Scottish doctors. And it was invented for childbirth. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 4.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. Coconuts kill more people than sharks every year. Same with cows. Vending machines are actually twice as likely to kill you than a shark is. France was still executing people via guillotine when the first Star Wars film came out. There are more fake flamingos in the world than real ones. There are more tigers in Texas than the rest of the world. There's enough iron in your body to make a 3-inch nail. Beethoven and George Washington were alive at the same time. In fact, George Washington was in his 40s when Beethoven was born. There are more stars in space than there are grains of sand on every beach on Earth. It rains diamonds on Saturn and Jupiter. A buttload is an actual unit of measurement, equivalent to 126 gallons. Hit the plus sign if you want to learn more facts.
Bone-chilling facts you wish you never knew, Part 4. Cannibals find the palm of the hand the tastiest. There is a lake that never gives up the dead. The bottom of the Lake Superior is cold enough that the dead bodies just remain, so they don't become skeletons and they are pretty creepy. In 1975, the CIA had a heart attack gun. It's a weapon that shoots a small poisonous dart which causes a heart attack. It can penetrate clothes and leave nothing but a red dot. Just imagine what they could be hiding now.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 17. There's an 8-year-old boy named Amarjit Sada who became the world's youngest serial killer after murdering his 6-year-old cousin, his baby sister, and a neighbor's newborn daughter. The CIA has a legitimate heart attack gun, and it was exposed to the public in the late 1970s. Project Sunshine was research conducted by the US government in which after the atomic bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a network of agents was recruited to locate recently deceased children and steal their body parts for testing on radiation. Both the US and Russia used dolphins and whales to spy on various countries. The FBI sent an anonymous letter to Martin Luther King Jr. telling him to kill himself. It reads, "King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is." Guys, I just released my first YouTube video. I'm sure you'll love it. Link in bio.
Now don't be fooled by this photo because this story is called The Demon Dog. For the short term they knew him, they called him Shanks. So if you haven't guessed it yet, Shanks is an American pit bull. But ever since Mark found Shanks, there was just something off. See, Shanks was fit, tough, and a very strong looking dog. But when you looked into his eyes, there was something evil that wanted to get out. But Shanks was a stray. He was found covered in blood months ago. The vet said that it was blood from a carcass or something that he had eaten to try and survive. But after we saw Shanks attack Robin Warmont while she was hanging out her washing, we knew it wasn't for survival. You see, Robin was 8 months pregnant when Shanks hunted her down and attacked her. Police said that they couldn't even recognise her once he'd finished ripping her apart. And unfortunately, neither her or her unborn baby survived. Since he ran away that day, 3 of his past owners have stepped forward, all with gruesome stories about Shanks. And all have refused to describe to police what he looks like, because he still stalks.
One of the world's scariest animals just got a whole lot scarier, and Planet of the Apes is slowly becoming non-fiction. Because apparently chimpanzees are out here murking gorillas. Scientists in 2021 witnessed a troop of chimpanzees basically jumping a family of gorillas. And when I say gang, we're talking about almost 30 chimps pressing a family of 5. Keep in mind a silverback can weigh up to 400 pounds and could probably bench press your car. And according to witnesses, the silverback was eating chimps left and right like they were paper mache. But eventually the chimps overwhelmed the bigger silverback and even kidnapped a baby gorilla. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they did, but that family of 5 became a party of 4. And it wasn't even the last time, because later that year, scientists watched the same group of chimpanzees do the same exact thing. Square up with a family of gorillas, kidnapped a baby, and erase its name from the gorilla's census. And it's not like we didn't know chimps were about that. They often hunt bush babies and vervet monkeys, and we've even seen them use weapons like spears to do it. But it's one thing to hunt something that weighs like 5 Skittles. Going gorillas is another tier of Black Air Force activity, which is why I'd rather be locked in a room with a jaguar than a chimp. Cause at least a jaguar gonna make it quick.
Disney World facts and incidents that are a lot darker than you could imagine. And if you guys are loving Creep Time and you want even more content, make sure to check out my Instagram right in the bio. Disney World is known for quite a few high-profile deaths, most of which they have done a great job of covering up. But none quite as quickly as when an off-duty cast member accidentally fell to his death off Disney's contemporary resort onto the monorail. Within just 3 hours, Disney had completely cleaned it up and just resumed operations. In 1981, a case went to court when parents claimed that an actor at the park who played Winnie the Pooh had slapped their daughter. But this cast member insisted that this was just a case of turning around and accidentally knocking the little girl over, and actually proved this to a jury in court by repeating the incident while dressed in costume. In the early 70s, at an attraction known as the Carousel of Progress, in which the stage rotates a full 360, the attendant, who was 18, was crushed between the stage and the wall. Even more chilling, there is an audio recording that exists of this exact incident.
Things that bother you, they never bother me. I feel happy and fine, living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
Would you survive until sunrise at the real Conjuring house? Say hello to Annabelle. Go in the basement, alone. Visit the bent neck lady. Say hello to Father John. Watch out for Valak. What was that? A haunted well. Seance with me. Snakes.
Frank Selak, known as the luckiest unlucky man that has lived, seemed to have a superpower of surviving everything life and death threw at him. In January 1962, Frank boarded a train that was suddenly derailed. The train plunged into an icy river. While 17 other passengers drowned, Frank survived the fall and swam ashore with a broken arm and hypothermia. A year later, while on his first and only plane ride flying from Zagreb to Rijeka, the back door blasted open, sucking everyone into the sky, killing 19 people. Amazingly, Frank landed on a haystack with only minor scratches. 4 years later, Frank boarded a transport bus. The bus skidded and plunged into a river, sinking all the way down. Yet again, Frank survived the fall and swam to the surface, then to the shore with a few cuts and bruises. In 1970, Frank was driving his car when an engine failure ignited the fuel tank, bursting the car into flames. Frank jumped out of the vehicle just before it exploded. A few years later, the same thing happened with his new car. While his hair was completely singed, Frank otherwise exited the vehicle safely. In 1995, he was hit by a city bus and then again by a truck. He survived that freak accident, too. In 1996, he was involved in a head-on collision on a mountain curve. Frank was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected out of the car, clinging to a tree branch as he watched his vehicle fall 300 feet. 2 days after his 73rd birthday, Frank won the lottery for $1.1 million. At the time of his win, he also married for the 5th time.
These are facts that will make your skin crawl, part 1. Up first, did you know that women can actually give birth after death? It's extremely rare, but it's called coffin birth. Up next, everybody has definitely heard of the 5-second rule and probably applied it in your life at least once. But did you know in those 5 seconds, minor insects can still crawl on your food after you drop it on the floor, pick it up, and then eat it? Up next, if a black cat looks at you and then suddenly runs away, it means that something unusual is about to happen to you. So if this happened to you recently, then I recommend just staying in your room and not leaving. Finally, did you know that a cockroach can live 9 days without its head before it starves to death? This is absolutely crazy, and as weird as this sounds, I have to see it to believe it.
Most dangerous tourist spots, part 1. Devil's Pool. This pool takes you inches from the 350-foot waterfall. It is located at Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. Getting to the pool is hard. You have to fight the strong current of the river, and there are also hippos and crocodiles that lurk in the river. Tourists are only allowed to go to Devil's Pool between August and January because for the rest of the year, the strong currents make it impossible to survive.
Scurry Facts, Part 1. After losing her newborn baby, a 24-year-old mom named Ashley Hammock decided to add a sandbox to her grave so that her older son could still play with him. It wasn't until 1914 that it became illegal to mail children. In 2008, a Brazil priest would decide to strap 1,000 balloons to his lawn chair and take off. It wasn't until months later that the lower part of his body would be found floating in the ocean.
Scariest interviews with serial killers. Serial killer John Hughes. John Hughes was convicted of 15 murders and sentenced to life in prison in 2010. When he was interviewed and asked if he would kill again, he said this.
Because you'd kill again.
More than positive. I got different thoughts.
Then he was asked if he felt bad for the murders he had committed, and this is what he said.
You don't feel bad about killing anyone?
Not personally, that I've personally done myself, no.
Why?
Wrong place, wrong time.
Follow for more.
They had to yell at the actors to stop eating the crap in between takes of the human centipede because the prop masters made it taste so good. It was a mixture of coconut oil and chocolate. A very large number of actresses actually walked out of the audition the second they saw these drawings. The only way the director was able to get investors in on the movie was to be a little deceitful about what was actually happening. He told investors it was about 3 people being surgically connected together, but he didn't say how they were being connected. The movie makes it seem like this house is in the middle of nowhere, but in reality, this house was just in a regular neighborhood. And during the feeding scene of the human centipede, many neighbors were actually peeking over the fences and were completely disgusted by what they saw. The actors were given hardened silicone underwear with rubber bits to bite on, that way it actually looked like they were connected to each other's butts. Dieter Laser, rest in peace, the man who played the crazy scientist in the human centipede, insisted on being naked for the pool scene. The actresses thought this was really sweet and an act of solidarity because they had to be naked themselves for 90% of the movie. But Dieter Laser said he wanted to be nude because he is a method actor, and this doctor would see the human centipede as nothing more than a pet, and you wouldn't blush at being naked in front of your pet. All of the actors who were involved in the human centipede got massages at the end of every film day for having to be on their knees all day long.
Terrifying facts you never knew. Your bed has dust mites in it right now, and some of you have up to 10 million on your mattress, but you have no clue. You see, they love dead skin and warm bedding, making your bed the perfect home to start a huge family. Cavities are contagious and can be spread by kissing or sharing food. Speaking of food, I have a mud pie. Oh yeah, baby. And don't get me started about these Reuben balls. Woo! Now this tastes like your mama's booty. This is how fast the Titan submarine got crushed. It takes our brains 100 milliseconds to process pain. It takes our eyes 13 milliseconds to process visually. When the Titan submarine imploded, the pressure was so great, it got crushed in 1 millisecond, meaning they didn't feel or see a thing. It was just lights out. Again, your mama's booty. Sometimes an Amber Alert caused the kidnapper to panic and kill the child immediately. A woman named Jules Sherping wanted to be blind ever since she was the age of 6. She felt her life wouldn't be complete unless she was actually blind. So in 2006, she poured drain cleaner in her eye, blinding herself permanently. And now she says she's happier than ever. There's a new device in South Africa called Rapex. It's a tube with sharp barbs inside. Women insert this like a tampon, and let's just say anyone who ever tries an unconsensual act will be in a world of pain and have to go to the ER. A man from Queens spent 5 years in jail, not knowing that his bail was only $2. If you ever donated blood, that blood can be in somebody else's boner right now. Something to think about. The reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of the raw egg. It's because you shouldn't eat the raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying all over the field and pooping on the wheat. In 2006, Robert Turnery, a 5-year-old, called 911 after his mother collapsed. The operator hung up on him after asking to speak to an adult because she thought it was a prank. 3 hours later, he called again. The operator said, "Stop prank calling," and hung up. They then sent the police to his house to yell at him. When they got there, they found that his mother had died from a heart attack. In 2016, 11-year-old Elizabeth Gilreed went on an amusement park ride to have fun. Her hair then became caught, causing her to be scalped. The Iron Maiden was a horrible torture device, but it didn't kill you. People would be placed in there and the spikes would go through every part of their body, even their eyes. But the spikes weren't deep enough to kill you, so you would just stand in there, suffering. Should I do a part 5?
Today I'll be telling you about the youngest murderers. Starting off with Nevada Tan. Nevada Tan is the nickname of an 11-year-old girl who murdered her classmate. Her real identity is kept a secret. She had some sort of disagreement with a girl in her class, so during lunch break she brought the girl into an empty room and cut her throat with a knife. Afterwards, she went back to her classroom covered in bloodstains. Her classmates flew into a panic and her teacher called the police. She was arrested, and when the police asked her why she had done such a horrible thing, Nevada Tan said that the dead girl had posted messages on her website saying she was overweight and calling her a goody two-shoes. According to reports, Nevada Tan's website was based on the Japanese urban legend, the Red Room. Nevada Tan was sent to prison. She was probably released in 2013. Next, we have Jasmine Richardson. Jasmine was a normal 12-year-old girl from Alberta, Canada. She got involved with goth scene, started dressing in black and wearing garnish makeup. On the internet, Jasmine used the nickname Runaway Devil, and her profile said, "Welcome to my tragic end." She became an out-of-control tween, sneaking out, going to rock concerts without her parents' knowledge. She also had a boyfriend who was 23 years old. He often told people he was a 300-year-old werewolf. When her parents found out what she had been doing, they grounded her and forbid her from seeing him. She was really angry, so she convinced her boyfriend to come over and kill her parents. One night, while her parents were asleep, she let her boyfriend in the house. He stabbed her parents to death while she murdered her 8-year-old brother. Afterwards, they tried to flee, but the police found them. Jasmine was found guilty and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Her boyfriend was given 3 life sentences. Since then, Jasmine has been released and has expressed remorse for her crimes. Lastly, we have Robert Thompson and John Venables. Robert and John were both 10 years old. One morning, they decided to ditch school and go to a shopping center. They got bored and decided to kidnap a little boy named James Bulger. They brought him into a deserted area where they threw bricks at him. Part 2 is already up.
Not gonna ruin. Yeah. And there's no hum when they
that
stop.
hum's gone.
It's a big improvement.
Let's see, move your mouth around a little bit, like
I feel like
smile, maybe. Well, it seems like you guys don't need to glue a lot. Maybe just here.
Yeah, I think that's all we glued last time.
Yeah.
Barely even like the chin and the upper lip.
Yeah.
That was it.
Just around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.